We are recording.
Okay, welcome everyone to our Tuesday, October 22nd session of the DApp Developer Working Group. So I don't have an agenda really for today. We can just kind of base it on everyone who's here and what projects they're working on. So I know, Jim, of course, you have the art on the blockchain and you're working with creating a smart contract for that. And Raphael, you've been working, I saw your notes in the DAPI Discord with a successful launch. Maybe, how about if we start off with Raphael and he can give us an update on how with DAPI.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, so I'll share my screen. This one. So I'll start with Arnode software. I'll try to explain the problem I encounter. It's mainly some Roland issues. I asked a question in development here. It did not get answered yet. I'll try to explain to you. This is just a small issue. So it is concerning there is a repo which is called OrChain names on my GitHub account. And I have a problematic which is to verify the identity of the deployer. So when the initial contract is deployed here, I record the deployer ID. And now I want to make sure that when some specific operations are performed, I want to identify this same deployer. It's a bit like the owner concept in Ethereum. So this is kind of the issue right now. There is no, yes, it's right here. So I'm messing around with some Roland stuff, but can't do it right now. But this is just one concern. So it's some Roland stuff. I guess it will be someone will answer me. Maybe don't know if you see. Maybe I can zoom. So I just want to. I record the deployer ID at the beginning, at the first deploy, and then every time the execution enters in this entry contract, I want to check the actual deployer against the one that is stored in this channel. So right now I've got the match log every time, but okay, that's just a small issue. Mainly my work is on DAPI. Lots of stuff going on. I set up the SSL connection. So SSL connection will be mandatory on DAPI between the client and the network members. So this is all set up now. And I'm working on some other issue. In Toulouse, I meet regularly with some companies. And one thing they all tell me about DAPI is that it would be much easier for some company to migrate their infrastructure to DAPI if DAPI could just be a DNS could just do the job of DNS. So this is what I'm doing right now. Instead of linking the name, the blockchain name with a file on the blockchain, I'm working on a second possibility, which is to link a name with a IP address, which is a physical server. So finally, I'm doing the same thing as the DNS system, but with the decentralized ledger, which is Archain platform and DAPI network. So this is very interesting to work on. As you see, I have so DAPI is available on DAPI. So this is the physical server that is serving this HTML page, and it is inside DAPI. So people that will need to play with DAPI won't necessarily have to upload the file on the blockchain. They will be able to link a name that they have bought on DAPI, link it with some physical server. So this is kind of the news of the moment. And I'm still working also on Archain Perf. So the goal of this repo is to monitor, to check the performances of Arnold software. So I haven't had enough time to do the ref transfer testing. So maybe I will do it during the week. Okay, so that's it.
Oh, very good. So that was interesting what you were saying about having the DNS reserved names. So when you were speaking with companies, they were interested in just owning the name, but having it point back to their physical servers to serve up the files.
The main problem of the DNS system is that DNS is centralized and certificate authorities are centralized. So this is the problem. Lots of companies want to keep their physical server because they do some stuff on it.
Right.
Would be interesting in dropping the DNS system, the domain name, and the certificate authorities. With DAPI, it's all of this is managed in a decentralized manner. So that's
right.
the thing.
Well, that's kind of exciting to, and that's, you know, a more narrow, a smaller use case of DAPI. And, you know, perhaps maybe, you know, from a marketing perspective, that may help DAPI grow, where the scope of DAPI is narrow, but you can have a broader acceptance in that businesses just focus on reserving their domain name, but having it point to their physical server, and maybe that could be the first and use case to help get broader acceptance. So is that, from a marketing perspective, is that kind of the direction you're headed towards now?
Yes, I'm heading in that direction because, as you say, many companies just don't need a full decentralization. They don't need to have everything on the blockchain because, of course, if they are dealing with some banking information, some private information, they will do a hybrid application on DAPI. They will not do a full DAP. Okay. So this is what I'm doing is working on hybrid applications. So mainly DAPI will do the same work as a regular browser, but the domain name stuff and the certificate authority stuff, meaning the encryption between the client and the server, will be handled by DAPI. And the certificates and the domain will be delivered by the DAPI network, which is decentralized. So this is the news. And yes, as you say, I'll focus for the next week on this use case, the IP, the physical server use case. That's it.
So with this, it's not so much it's not a complete change of direction, just kind of a shift. This doesn't make too much more work for you, is it? You think you mentioned a week? Is that all you need in order to kind of create this, go in this new direction, or is there more work beyond that?
Yeah, I think it's about that, and this is very cool because for people like you and people of the Archon community, we will be able to test very easily the DAPI software. It's very easy. If you see my screen, you will just purchase a name like Archain Co-op, and then instead of giving a blockchain address, you will give the IP of the server and the certificate, which is public. The certificate is just like the public key. And having this, when this is recorded on the blockchain, we will be able to navigate to, let's try this one, to the Archon Co-op website using the name that is on the Archon blockchain. But we will have a communication with the physical server of Archain.
Okay.
So this will be for lots of people who don't necessarily understand what DAPI is all about. It's kind of a first step into the world of decentralization. And I guess it's as a proof of concept, it's easier to play with than the full DApp that is also possible with DAPI.
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, that there's certain advantages, or I see the advantage of, a simpler use case, and I'm thinking, from the average user perspective, it's something that they can, get their mind around, and that'll, the goal is to get, mass adoption. And if you have a more simple use case, people can understand and participate in, you start to achieve, greater mass adoption. And then the fact that, businesses like this as well is, even better. So good. I think you're on, I just get the feel just intuitively that you're on the right track going in this direction.
Great.
And I'm curious, everything is moving forward, and we're both on the Archain side. We'll be approaching mainnet, or at least testnet 3 here soon, and DAPI's coming along nicely. When you get to the point to where DAPI is ready for production and you're ready for people to start purchasing domain names, do you have a web interface, or is there an automated way that website that people can go to, see if their domain name that they're interested in is available, and then have the process where they can make those purchases? Is that something that
it will be available inside DAPI? The goal is not to have some any domain name stuff, because domain name is dangerous. So I guess yes, consultation might be on my dapi.tech website, just to know if a domain name is available. But then to purchase it, it's too dangerous to ask any client to enter on a website. So it will all be in the DAPI interface.
Okay.
And yes, I'll try to do some friendly UX.
So the DAPI interface, so that will be the an application that they'll download locally to their computer.
What you are looking at is the DAPI browser.
Okay, DAPI browser. Okay.
This is the tab navigation, and there are other applications. For example, when you purchase a name, it happens in the same software. So it all happens in this software.
Okay, through the DAPI through the DAPI browser will be the mechanism through which users can purchase those domain names.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I needed to kind of get a better understanding of that. Okay.
So some timeline information. I plan to launch a big a, a big beta network for like 1 month after ArtChain and mainnet launches.
Okay.
So beta network does mean that it's not production. For example, all the names will be available for 10 pounds, very cheap, because the goal is just to test it.
Right.
And eventually, if some money comes in, audit the software because it's important. If we are dealing with private keys and stuff like that,
Right.
it could be cool to have the software audited, and it might also be open sourced in 2020.
Oh, wow. A lot of exciting things. So, just speaking about the timeline. So, a month after ArtChain goes live with mainnet, you want to have a media campaign, and perhaps there can be some coordination with ArtChain marketing as far as to get that broader reach within the ArtChain community. So, when you say a media, I use the word campaign. I don't remember which word you use, but with your media uh, uh, introduction, I'm just curious as far as what what are some of the media choices or channels that you've selected to use as for your media introduction.
Right now, I'm still very much alone to work on that, so I did not think about everything that you're saying. Right now, the whole media stuff around API is just a Medium page with one article, some Twitter account,
Okay.
and the website.
Okay. So, okay. Yeah. So between now and when that time comes, I'm sure you'll start thinking through what, what that media campaign will look like. And
You're
then
saying Medium. Are you
me,
saying Medium article or?
Yes, Medium. If you
oh,
search for Fabco, I'll try to find it.
oh, I was thinking media, but like media, a medium.com article.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks,
I
Jim.
was. I'm not really active from a marketing point of view right now.
Right, right. Well, yeah, it's not until you get to um, that production stage is when that becomes
Yeah.
activated. Yeah.
But of course, coordinated marketing between ArtChain and DAPI, if DAPI goes well, it could be very interesting to have some kind of a mix advertisement.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ned, how do you feel about that? Could Raphael leverage, the ArtChain community as far as, some type when he gets into production, an announcement in some capacity within ArtChain?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I recommend besides Discord, maybe at one of our Wednesday community meetings, doing a demo. I think that would be great.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good. Well, yeah, I know it's still a little bit early to be talking about marketing and promotion and those types of things, but the thought is at some point, if everything keeps progressing, DAPI will be in production, and to kind of have these early on discussions as far as what the possibilities are is kind of a good thing, because there's certain element of coordination that has to happen. So so it's good that we're at least kind of introducing some of these discussion points at this point. So yeah, there's certainly with any new service or product or application, you know, there's so many different pieces that are involved in making that effort successful. So and that's the beauty of, you know, this group. You know, we're here to kind of have those discussions and think of what all needs to what are some of those components of what needs to happen. So good.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's
so,
the medium. Yeah. Thank you.
So what are when do you think there's an app that you can put on DAPI that would be good to show to the community? Is there something now you would show them, or should we make it an app using DAPI and then show that, or?
All of this depends on the network that is live. The first alpha network was backed by the Sandbox network on our chain. But if testnet 3 is stable enough, I think I will be able to ship a new DAPI version with which is backed by the testnet. And
what application?
I guess the most cool would be the MyArchain wallet. I don't know what is the state of the development, but it could be very, very cool to.
Yeah, well, if you can demo that, or whenever you can, I think that would be great on a Wednesday fall.
Okay. So speaking of MyArchain wallet, so earlier today, Arvin, well, we have our DApp developer and testing session, and Arvin is progressing along with the user interface, all of the user sign-ons, working with the mnemonic phrases and so forth. So another week or two, he'll feel that, you know, he'll have that where he wants it to be. And we'll be able to, as a group, start creating user accounts. The next piece that needs to happen is it needs to be connected to the back end, to our node. And Tomislav and NutZipper will be helping Arvin with that piece. So, so as far as a timeline, on the long term, MyArchain wallet would be ready in 2 months. But Arvin said that if he's able to get help on the back end, that'll shorten the development time to 1 month. So we're getting towards the end of October. So towards the last week or two of November, it's possible that MyArchain wallet may be in production. We'll certainly want to start giving it, testing it and so forth, and having it on DAPI. Maybe that will be the perfect environment for the DApp developer community to start testing. So testing MyArchain wallet and testing DAPI as well.
Yeah, great. So I don't know if it is wise, but maybe I could set up some DAPI DAPI learning sessions. It would be interesting because right now I'm the only one to be able to play with it, but it's becoming simpler and simpler. So I think it's the right time to have some devs who are interested to learn about that, because it will solve some issues that any web developer who wants to connect with the blockchain will encounter. So basically, I think it would be finally very time rewarding to start developing stuff on DAPI. I would like to find some schedule that fits for the maximum people. Do you have some idea or some? I guess Tuesday is might be a good day because there is already two developer meeting. So maybe I can fit between two or after one.
Right. So let me think about that. So Arvin is in China. So when we have, so that meeting, it's 10 a.m. Eastern time, New York time, and it's 10 p.m. Beijing time. So it's towards the end of the day in China. But Arvin would certainly, I think he would be someone who would be interested. The challenge is everyone is spread around the globe, and finding a time that's will work for everyone can be a challenge. I know, Raphael, you're in Europe, so you're about 5 hours ahead of New York time. So
Yes.
I don't have an easy answer whether how to make one session accommodate everyone. It's possible we may need to have more than one session.
Yep. I guess if there is China plus Europe plus East USA, we want to
Right.
find some common schedule.
Yeah, and let me ask you this: do we need to be in testnet 3 in order for you to have your workshops, or is this something that you wanted to do before then?
What I need is just what we need to play with the Archain to connect to the Archain network is some private key that has enough revs to deploy some stuff. And then the DAPI API is an additional API that plugs itself on the Arnode software. So we need to, in order for a developer to avoid setting all these programs on their machine, it could be cool to have them running on the physical servers that own the Arnode instances. Maybe, for example, if the node is at this URL, maybe because the API is just a simple Docker, application. So maybe it could be on some other port or something like that. Or maybe I can set it up on my my own servers. I think this is the best solution. I'll set up this these proxies on my server.
We in the community have one running on robot.net. So you could put robot.net there to use that instance. Of course,
no, but what I just need is some running Arnode software. So I guess it will be fine. It will be fine with the current setup.
With the with the testnet, are you able to? So there's 10 servers with the testnet. If connecting to any number of those and staying connected, is that a possibility?
Yeah. That's what I'll do. I think it's the right solution. So I'll go on my server dapi.tech and I'll set up some connection. For example, this address will map with node Arnode 0. Can't remember the URL. But I do some stuff like that. This way, there is no need to touch the official Archain servers. So I'll do
Oh, no.
it.
Okay.
So my planning, I'll speak with Arvin and Nikoslav and Jim also to kind of find some schedule that fits.
And Nutzipper as well. He would be another person I think would be interested.
Okay, great. Zipper also, and then I'll ship some new version of the API. Yes, that will be fine. On Windows plus Ubuntu, I think it's sufficient. I hope. Okay, great.
Yeah, what would be great, I'm just thinking of the testnet and the 10 servers with the idea of getting all environments stable, so as DAPI gets into production and Archain gets to testnet 3, to have DAPI running on all 10 testnet servers and having it there, having it running and having it stable so that it's just there up and running. I don't know if that may be too ambitious, but that could potentially be a goal.
I'm not sure about the changes that will occur on on the. So I think 3 servers is way enough
Okay.
for testing purpose.
Okay.
The goal, of course, is to have more than one because it's the main purpose of DAPI.
Right.
So I'll set it up with 2 servers at first. And then, as the network gets more stable, we could play with 5, 6, 10 servers and see how it goes.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, I think this is great. I'm glad to see DAPI and your efforts progressing along, and looking forward to having those workshop sessions with the developers, helping them get familiar with DAPI. So, and speaking of Archain, the main development, Ned, do you have any updates for the group as far as cost accounting and when how that's coming along, and any thoughts or expectations on that?
I think the devs have said 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Yeah, so there's some pull requests going in today, and then I believe cost accounting should be done in a couple weeks.
And from what I gather from sitting in on the dev stand-up, that's in line with the timeline. They're still on the same schedule of what they had anticipated. So is that correct? Everything is going according to plan with the timeline?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So in a couple weeks, we'll be in testnet 3. So here, let me look at the calendar here. So today's Tuesday, October 22nd. So that'll be the first week of November. So, okay. And then, yeah. And then when that happens, we'll work on getting the network stable, and we'll have a few apps to start deploying on it, being the Archain wallet, DAPI, the Rev Manager, off-chain wallet. So, and slowly that number of apps will increase. So, good. Okay. Oh, and also art on the blockchain. So, hey, Jim, how's art on the blockchain smart contracts coming along?
Well, we're still trying to understand exactly what parts of the interface for the non-fungible tokens we need or want. So right now, I guess we're pausing to look into depth at the function of at the ERC 721 interface for non-fungible tokens. To see if we can understand that. And then there's the whole idea of how the payment stuff is going to work. Now, our Saturday session, so you know, we were looking at or Dan was showing us the functionality there from the Mint and the purses, and I didn't quite grasp it all, but it looks like you could pay with anything you want. You can pay with a duck. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how we're going to interface that with the wallets and stuff. And right now, I just don't know about the signatures and stuff. We need some coaching if we're going to make. You know, we can demonstrate the contracts, but to make them secure, we're going to need help with the get the signature stuff put in properly, and the best way is if somebody can coach us on getting on that step of the process.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So, hey, Gary, welcome.
Hey, Steve, thanks. My time is off by half an hour on everything today.
No worries. Jim's recording the session, and when you go back and rewatch it, Raphael, he gave us a walkthrough of DAPI and how that's progressing along. So, yeah, things are looking good on his end.
That. It's yeah, sounds good.
So, well, let's see here. Other than that, let's see here.
I'll just say that I committed art.ro in the robot project in the ArtChain community GitHub. If anyone wants to take a look at it or play with it.
Okay. Very good.
It's only a skeleton.
Yeah.
Not much to it.
Yeah. Were you going to have a work study here at 4 o'clock time?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, I was planning a work study. Whether the art object is the most likely.
Yeah.
The art object contract is the most likely thing, but like I said, we do have to understand the I mean, to make any real progress, we're going to have to understand the ERC 721,
Okay.
725, and 735 interface equivalents on ArtChain.
Gotcha. Okay. And that'll be helpful in coding up the smart contract, the art.ro smart contract.
Right. I mean, we can make it work, but that doesn't make it right.
Very good.
Yeah, the ERC 721 people have thought through all the problems, and we don't want to have to reinvent the wheel, so we'll just kind of model what they've done, I'm guessing.
Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully Dan will bless us with his presence again on Saturday morning. Get some questions answered there.
Yeah, if we can, inquire to see what Dan's availability is on Saturday, if we know that he's going to show up, that's a topic I would be interested in sitting in on to.
Yeah. Well, we have a recording from this Saturday.
Well, yeah, and I need to watch that as well. Yeah.
That touched a lot of this, but
Okay.
But we spent most of our time talking about DIDs, which
Okay.
Dan is not in favor of, which he says we can do without.
Okay.
yeah. And you know, we also met with the identity woman, Kiala Young, who's you know part of the DIF, the Decentralized Identity Foundation, and she opened our eyes really to a whole another thing, which is the DID-COM specifications.
Okay.
And you know, and I'm thinking that may answer a lot of Dan's concerns about the utility. I mean, he was really saying DID is redundant. It's the same as DNS.
And he was also saying that it's not, it's really, there's really nothing there. It's just more of a template. And we still have to do all the work for DIDs. Is the impression I got.
That's true. It's, you know, I mean, it's as simple as possible. It's the way we get we have an address of an object, and the decentralized directory is basically, you know, in Dan's line, the same as a URL. We can go, we can get the document associated with it, all the information.
Okay.
And the DID directory is sort of avoiding the whole World Wide Web domain name thing, and let, you know, let different identity systems
Mm-hmm.
you know, join a federation that, you know, with the DID standard. So you can, you know, with this federated decentralized directory, you can access anything. You're not dependent upon the World Wide Web or DNS servers or whatever. These could all be blockchain things that couldn't, you know, they could be totally separate from the web.
So if Dan is somehow indicating that the URL, you know, if that can be your identity, I just think of DAPI, and you know, if you have a domain name on DAPI, could that somehow be your identity?
Yeah, it was gonna, you know, consider, you know, ask if we looked at the DID directory, which is what the standards groups are looking to replace DNS. And so that, in a sense, competes with what you're trying to do. You know, in that you're replacing DNS, whatever.
Which group are you talking about, Jim?
The DID group, the Distributed Identity Directory group.
Yeah, well, it's the DIF Foundation that KL is associated with.
Okay, I'll check it. But the main stuff is that the thing that I think I understood and I'm trying to resolve with DAPI is that you know, there is already the Ethereum name service. All blockchain projects have some identity management project also, but the very issue that DAPI tries to resolve is how, as a light client, you get data from a distributed ledger, because all projects right now are relying on some unique proxy to then expose the decentralized world, but all the clients have at first to depend on some centralized service.
Now, there is no centralized in the DIF directory. There's no central. What it is, you know, you can service all the local names. Any names that are local to you, you service. Okay. If it's an Ethereum address, you go DID ETH : and you execute that service, and you can discover what that service is. So it's sort of like somebody can say I'm an ETH service but lie, and they're not the real ETH service, and you have no way of really knowing. You have to build these trust relationships when you connect the decentralized network. When you connect to an ETH : this is the ETH : that all your local people want in your name. So, our chain will have its own DID directory.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how it's implemented because it's protocols, not platforms. It's just
What did you call
they say identity, but it's really about identifiers.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's objects. It's not it's not necessarily people at all. They're
Okay.
identifiers for anything, and the capabilities of that anything are discoverable. There's a way of discovering the functionality of the object. And
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I guess every guy who builds some stuff on the blockchain right now does not necessarily know what will occur in the future, even with the tools that he has built. But yeah, of course, there are lots of ways to understand and like predict use cases.
I was thinking that it might be very easy for you to support storing a DID document for a name on our chain. So you could take part in you could handle names on our chain that would federate with the decentralized DID directory.
Yeah, I guess you are right, because I think I'll share my screen again. In order for the API to work, of course, we need some okay, up. We need some name purchase platform. And I have some questions that I have not answered yet, and I very much expect community members to give it a shot. Is at what price I will propose the names to be booked, because I have to avoid someone buying everything. I have to avoid the names being too expensive. So right now I have just quickly set up a proposition depending on the number of characters. And of course, I wrote this thinking about the DAPI use case, but this is just a name registry, but it can point to any other stuff that is imaginable. For DAPI, I will use a name to resolve some file or some physical server on the internet. But for another application, a name might have some other use case. So I guess this repo, which I call on-chain names, could be very much used for other purpose.
You would just need to be able to address an item on our chain, which would basically be you'd be able to have it a name associated with
when you buy a name on DAPI, you have to link it with an unforgeable name. Very soon, you will also be able to link it to an IP address.
Well, you want to be able to get that, to get the DID document from that enforceable name.
Yet, we could totally, you can store, you can store anything on it.
It could be maybe possible to just generate, but you know, if we can produce a DID directory, a DID document, then it can federate. That would be very interesting. Now, as far as how much they cost, okay, the issue here is how is are the proceeds going to be used? Okay. I don't think people will buy into this if the money goes to some commercial entity directly.
But the thing is that if you have a name system, everyone will want to buy Adidas, Nike, to buy some short domain like ABC.
Right, but this is the new economies are based on the commons, okay, and the namespace is commons that we're managing collectively. That's how things are going to be from now on. The old paradigm is being replaced by the new paradigm. So this money comes to us, okay, and we have to have governance associated with it. That's my view.
Yeah.
And when you say the money comes to us, who is us represent?
Well, certainly people who buy it have a stake in it. Okay,
So
now,
us is the stakeholders?
Yeah, and actually the users of those names also have a stake in it.
So there's certainly operational costs associated with the system. So all of those.
Maybe not. If it's just on the blockchain and it's there forever, you know, you just have the ongoing storage costs, which should be almost nothing. But yes, the operational costs are going to be bigger than that. You know, I mean, just to govern this thing is going to take a lot of resources, and you know, you'll have to have the financial wherewithal to fund the governance and operations, and any other legal or whatever. I mean, you're going to have. Now, who's going to handle the disputes?
So let me ask Raphael, what are your thoughts? So imagine a year from now or 2 years from now, did you have a vision of DAPI and the entity that runs it, as far as what the makeup of that would look like?
Yes, I think about this a lot. So my point. So let me just open a document. So in 1 year, if DAPI works well, there will be at first, of course, the ARChain network with some arbitrary number of nodes. Then there will be the DAPI network with some fewer number of nodes, and this is the DAPI network. For now, is the one that will earn the money paid by the people who buy DAPI names. It will be equally shared between the member of the DAPI network. So what I thought about is also give a part of the money that comes from name purchase to the actual stakeholders of the ARChain platform. So ARChain. Okay, Jim just when he said us, I just at the moment had the idea if maybe also they could be, so for example, because if lots of companies and people migrate to DAPI, this will represent some additional revenues from the for the platform. So this is not taking revenues. This is additional revenues. So the question is, who should get this? Is this the DAPI network members? Is this the stakeholders? So for example, a big staker will have some greater part. So I thought about, for example, something like that, or something like 1%. And lastly, maybe it could be very cool to have the some lottery. The owner of names could be also could earn money from the purchase of the new names. So this means that there will be an economic incentive for the name holders to have some more people coming into the platform. So maybe it's interesting to study. So this is for the revenue sharing side. And concerning the DAPI governance, my goal is the goal for it is to be decentralized. So, for example, if in 1 year there is 5 network members, it will be just like a blockchain platform that has 5 stakeholders. So they will be free to censor the website they don't like. They will be free to freeze the platform. They will be free to have it getting more robust and more widely used. So it's in the hands of the people who control the DAPI network. I will just be some. My goal is to disappear as person responsible for the platform. So that's the idea. Of course, for the beginning, it will be very much centralized because I will decide who can join. But we'll see how it goes. And the goal, of course, for DAPI is to be decentralized. So I won't be able to keep some authoritative position in the whole ecosystem.
Okay, that was helpful. So, and I think so. The key are those, after the first year, those 5 service providers. So they'll essentially collectively be responsible for delivering the governance of the network, and your role as kind of the overseer and the approver of who gets added as a network. I think that's an important piece, because if the control is within those networks, and being able to be part of that group, they all have to have the benefit. They have to have the health of the benefit of what the vision is in mind. They can't want to become self-serving. So that's so right. That having that mechanism, or having you as the overseer, that everyone who is participating understand and works towards that long-term vision, I think is an important key point. So, okay.
Yes, because just yes, all if they get together, they can pull any clients they want. The idea is that if only one network member is malicious, he can't do anything because the majority is still honest. But
Okay.
at one point, I don't know who will be the network members, but maybe they will become malicious and screw up the whole platform. So I have to find the right balance between keeping some centralized authoritative position and have the network being more and more decentralized as the years goes on. But concerning the timeline, I guess 1 year is still some very short time, I think, concerning having in mind the DAPI is kind of a new internet stuff. So if it gets a mass adoption, 1 year is not very much. For example, in 1 year, the internet did not get very widely used.
Right. Yeah. Well, these are certainly interesting discussions to have, and this will be ongoing. After a year from now, we'll be having these discussions as well.
I don't know how you're going to control something like this. I mean, it's so easy for anybody to make a directory. I mean, you really have to be providing a service for people to use it and pay for it. But if people are going to own names, and if they're going to be able to trade them in marketplaces, then whatever the R-chain equivalent of an ERC 721 non-fungible token needs to be will need to be there eventually. That's an issue we also have with the art objects. Okay, it's the top of the hour. Any final words? Anybody? Anybody's willing to stick around if they want to. I'm heading out and recording.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. Have a great day.
Raphael, appreciate the hard work.
Yeah. Thank you, Raphael.
Thank you.
Looking great.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.